The massive protection bubble around Bronny James just completely popped. For 2 straight years, everyone pretended this whole father-son situation was a heartwarming, historic milestone.
With LeBron, history tonight, the first father-son duo to play together in an NBA.
We all knew it was just a giant front office favor for LeBron. Now that his dad walked out of the Lakers, NBA legends are finally exposing the truth. They want him completely gone. Drop a comment right now and tell me, do you think Bronny James needs to retire immediately to save his sanity? Or can he somehow fix this disaster?
Gets the ball to Dalton Connect, and they knock it out of bounds, and here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, listen to this.
For the Lakers, LeBron James and Bronny James, both in the lineup.
NBA history at Crypto.com Arena. A father and a son playing together on the same court as teammates. 39-year-old LeBron, 20-year-old Bronny.
As you guys know, the Los Angeles Lakers front office has been incredibly busy completely cleaning house. In fact, they just signed former Golden State Warriors center Kevon Looney to a deal. That is a very solid piece to add to the front court. They have completely flipped this roster around. They traded for Walker Kessler, shipped DeAndre Ayton out to the Wizards, picked up guys like Colin Sexton and Quentin Grimes, and they are even heavily pursuing Jonathan Kuminga right now through free agency or a potential sign and trade. The front office is finally doing real, objective basketball work to build a fresh, competitive squad. But let's talk about the real reason we are all here. For 2 straight years, we basically had to sit here and pretend we were witnessing some historic, heartwarming father-son moment when anyone with a brain knew it was just a massive front office favor for LeBron James. But immediately when LeBron walked out of the Lakers, that whole protection bubble popped. And now the NBA legends are finally lining up to say what we have all been thinking. They want Bronny James out of the league. And trust me, when you hear the exact details Shaq and Scottie Pippen just exposed about the backroom deals LeBron pulled off to secure his son's bags, your jaw is going to hit the floor. But before we get to them, Charles Barkley was actually leading this charge before Bronny's rookie contract was even finalized. And he spent 2 years getting completely ignored while the media pretended everything was totally fine.
What are your thoughts on that?
He handled it awful. I thought it was because it was so fun. I was taping that match with Ken Griffey Jr. about way before the season started. He was telling me him and his dad were gonna go out for that first game, and then I was with my foolish friends later, you think Bronny's gonna make the opening day roster? I'm like, there's 100% chance. There's no way in the world Nike is flying Ken Griffey Sr. and Jr. out there, and Bronny don't get on the court with his dad.
Right, and his dad's not gonna let him play.
First of all, that's a Nike commercial waiting to happen. That's waiting to happen. But I thought it was great, a little ceremonial first game. But the kid's not ready to play in the NBA, and he should be in the G League, and so he can play basketball. He's not going to get better sitting on the bench. But also this thing where he's only going to play home games.
That's wild. Not traveling with the team.
It's it's wild. If you mean stupid.
Yes.
Back in November of 2024, Chuck went on the Better Angle podcast and called the entire handling of Bronny awful. And he literally said verbatim that the kid is not ready to play in the NBA. He called him a prospect and noted that while he was glad the kid was healthy, he belonged in the G League because he simply was not ready for the real league.
How proud of Bronny are you for what he's going through?
Listen, for me as a dad, it doesn't matter if he never scores, ever. For me as a dad, I'm just super proud of him, period, as a young man. For me, as a mentor and as a teammate of his, and that wants to see him thrive because I've seen the work he's put into the game, I am super proud of his development to where he is now. From the moment that, he was drafted in June of 2025 to us being now in March of 2026, his development is skyrocketed.
LeBron, of course, immediately started going on defensive rants online against anyone who pointed out his son was struggling, which led to a legendary live television moment on Inside the NBA where the crew joked that they couldn't say anything negative about Bronny without his dad showing up to confront them at the network. But that was just the warm-up, because now that LeBron is out of the picture, Chuck is letting the real thoughts fly. He gave his honest opinion on why Bronny James needs to retire when he said on Inside the NBA that while he understands a parent wanting to protect their child, he also possesses working eyes. He stated plainly that Bronny is not an NBA player, but rather a G League player with a guaranteed contract and a famous dad. Now that the dad is gone and the guarantee is locked in,
Hey, Bronny! Stop down! Great shot.
Chuck openly advised the kid to retire. Honestly, if you look at the raw numbers, Chuck is just saying what any basketball fan with a phone or TV already knows. During his rookie season, Bronny shot 31.3% from the field and 28.1% from three.
He managed to bump those numbers up in his second year to 40.9% from the floor and 38.6% from deep. I mean, we are talking about a guy playing under 9 minutes a night and scoring 2.9 points per game. Those are literally cardio stats. But he has a multi-million-dollar contract keeping him on the roster. Anyway, that brings us directly to Rob Parker, who was actually the very first media member to risk getting completely blacklisted from LeBron's circle by calling this whole situation what it is: a massive sham. Parker went live on Fox Sports and delivered a brutal wake-up call to Bronny and the Lakers, stating unequivocally that the young man should just announce his retirement. The harsh reality is that the safety net has completely evaporated, and the Lakers are left holding a massive contract for a player who cannot get on the floor without a direct order from his father. This whole situation is quickly turning into an absolute disaster. But if you thought Charles Barkley and Rob Parker are the only ones who want Bronny James to retire, you probably also think Ben Simmons is finally going to unlock that deadly jump shot he has been teasing every single summer for the last 10 years. The absolute truth is that the criticism is only getting louder, and the next legend on our list is about to prove that even Bronny's closest trainers are starting to look at this developmental project with a huge amount of concern. You gotta realize Gilbert Arenas literally spent years in the gym training Bronny James behind closed doors. So when Gil gets on his podcast and basically says Bronny needs to hang them up, that is an absolute dagger to the chest for the Lakers. See, Gil wanted Bronny to succeed more than almost anyone else in the basketball community. He always supported him publicly at any chance he got, previously arguing that it would take about 3 years of professional development before the kid would be truly ready to contribute at a legitimate level. But even he had to stop pretending that this project is actually working. After seeing Bronny play a couple of games, he went on his own podcast and gave us the exact blueprint of what was wrong with Bronny. This whole passive play style is why everybody started comparing him to Ben Simmons. And look, love him or hate him, at least Ben Simmons is a 3-time All-Star. But even he still ended up getting benched because he was terrified of shooting and literally froze up every single time he touched the ball. Now imagine Bronny James playing with that same fear, but with only like 10% of the talent Ben had. It is tough to watch. In the 9 minutes he gets a night, Bronny is still giving the Lakers a -3 per 100 possessions, which simply means not only is he not helping the team, he is literally affecting them negatively whenever he plays. The tipping point for all of this happened again when the Lakers got beaten by the Dallas Mavericks. The tension on the court was crazy, and it ended up boiling over in the most awkward way possible on live television. Bronny tried to throw this high chest pass to LeBron on a fast break, when he obviously should have just thrown a simple bounce pass. A Dallas defender easily tipped the ball out of bounds, and LeBron literally turned around and started screaming at Bronny right there on the court. Things have gotten so messy that Gil did not even try to sugarcoat it again on his podcast earlier this year. He noted that the initial 3-year timeline he predicted back in 2024 would end in 2027, meaning the young guard has exactly 1 year left. Arenas stated that if the glaring issues haven't been fixed after 2 years of elite training and G League repetitions, they simply aren't going to be resolved at this level, concluding that the kid should just retire. When someone like Arenas tells you to pack your bags and leave the league, the gig is officially up. But while Gil is just looking at the basketball side of things, Larry Bird is looking at the human element of this whole disaster. Instead of talking about his numbers, Bird actually thinks that telling Bronny James to retire is the ultimate act of mercy, because this non-stop media spotlight is actively ruining any chance the kid has at a normal life. You have to realize that every single bad decision he makes on the court becomes a viral meme on TikTok, analyzed by millions of toxic fans who just want to watch him fail. Nobody can actually grow as a basketball player or a human being when they are living inside a literal fishbowl. That is exactly why Larry Legend decided to drop the hammer and call things exactly how he sees them. According to NBA insiders and reporters, his exact assessment was that the kid still requires a massive amount of fundamental work, but the modern league is a completely absurd environment to attempt that level of remedial learning, meaning he needs a prolonged period of time away from the sport.
This is coming from a guy who won 3 straight MVPs in the most brutal era of basketball history, so he knows exactly what actual pressure feels like. Larry is basically saying that calling this a development project is a complete joke, because you cannot develop a player when every single mistake is a national headline. Stepping away from the Lakers and retiring is a massive opportunity for Bronny to finally find out who he actually is outside of his dad's shadow. But if you think Larry Bird is the only old-school champion who is completely fed up with the special treatment, you are seriously mistaken. The funniest part of this entire drama is that we literally have a perfect side-by-side comparison of another legend's son who actually did this the right way, and it makes LeBron and his son seem incredibly weird. We are talking about Scottie Pippen Jr. because his story is the ultimate blueprint of what Bronny should have been doing from day one. Seriously, it's wild because both of these kids went to the same high school at Sierra Canyon, both grew up with famous Hall of Fame dads, and both had to start out grinding in the G League. But the moment they actually tried to make it in the league, yeah, that's when things started changing. Scottie Pippen Jr. did not get a free pass, and he actually went undrafted in 2022, despite putting up serious numbers at Vanderbilt, where he was a 2-time first-team All-SEC star. He had to sign a messy 2-way contract with the Lakers, got waived by them, and then had to rebuild his entire career in Memphis. He ended up averaging 12.9 points, 4.7 assists, and 1.7 steals in 21 games during that crazy season. He was so good that the Grizzlies front office literally had no choice but to hand him a multi-year standard NBA contract because they simply could not afford to lose him. The internet completely celebrated it because everybody on Twitter knew it was big-time deserved, and nobody was crying about nepotism because he actually earned his stripes. Now, check out how Scottie Pippen Sr. handled this whole process. He was just a regular, proud dad sitting in the stands and supporting his kid without calling up GMs on draft night. He did not have Rich Paul and Clutch Sports threatening other teams to not draft his son, and he definitely did not force the front office to hand his kid a multi-million-dollar guarantee before he even stepped on the court. He let his son earn his way. Meanwhile, Bronny got a 4-year, $7.9 million guaranteed contract handed to him on a silver platter as the 55th pick. And now his dad has already left the building, while Scottie Jr. is still playing real valuable rotation minutes in Memphis. It actually makes sense why Scottie Pippen Sr. noted in an interview with ESPN that his son went undrafted and ended up far better off than an individual with a 4-year guaranteed contract, calling out the reality of nepotism. Pippen is basically calling out the Lakers for turning their roster into a family project. And he is right, because the basketball gods always find a way to balance things out. When you bypass the grind, you get exposed in front of the entire league. But when you actually work for it like Scottie Jr. did, the respect is immediate. Now, I know you thought Scottie Pippen was keeping it real, but Shaquille O'Neal took things to a whole different level, because he also refused to let his famous name buy his kids an easy pass into the league. Shaq's 2 sons, Sharif and Shakir, spent years trying to pave their own way to the NBA, with Sharif grinding through the G League and even getting a shot with the Kings, while Shakir fought through the collegiate ranks. Even though their father is a 4-time champion and arguably the most dominant force to ever touch a basketball, nobody was making backroom deals for them on draft night. The relentless media protection is gone, and the baseline statistical reality has caught up with this entire family experiment. Let me know down in the comments if you think a quiet retirement is the ultimate act of mercy for his career. If you appreciate honest, unfiltered sports breakdowns without the corporate bias, hit that like button and subscribe right now. See y'all next time.